Welcome to Only Gardens Podcast. Here today we have our wonderful Kimberly Karver from Treehouse Garden. Welcome.
Thanks.
This is our second episode and we're excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Kimberly Karver. I'm an English and French teacher by trade, but I always say a gardener at heart.
Have you been gardening since you were a little lassie, as they say?
I remember my dad growing a big garden growing up, and he'd grow these huge sunflowers that were like taller than me. So that kind of sparked my interest. And then my grandfather also loved to grow tomatoes. He was a tomato fanatic. So a little bit of gardening in my background for sure.
That's great. We ran into you from actually you being one of our customers. And that's one of the things we talked about in our episode, as this podcast was not only going to interview different garden professionals and different people that from across the globe that like talking about gardening, but our actual customer. So you started off as one of our customers, and all throughout social media, your content is just beautiful of what you've done with things. Tell us a little bit more about that experience.
You. Well, I started a new garden and I first started with 10 raised wooden beds. And I noticed like right off the bat, they were kind of starting to fall apart pretty quick. And I wasn't really happy with the price that I paid. So I did a lot of research and I came upon Ollie Gardens. And my husband and I were putting together our first bed, and he was arguing with me that it needed more support. And I'm like, no, I'm following the directions. So we called the 800 number, my husband did, and the owner of the company, Steve, actually answered and told him, we were doing everything right. And my husband's like, my wife loves to garden and she's a teacher and you got to meet her. She would love to promote garden beds. So that's kind of how I got attached to Ollie Gardens.
You've been an absolutely dream. We've learned so much from you and your gardening. And then we saw that you entered on the Master Chef and
Yes,
met the Garden Ramsay. And
I
that's
know.
one of the things that we think is just amazing, bringing garden to table. Tell us about that experience.
It's so interesting to find out because after being on the show, you learn a lot more. But I'm actually one of the only contestants on my series on MasterChef Generation Season 14. You can watch it on Hulu. I was one of the only people who did not apply. I mean, I'm a big MasterChef fan, and I watch it every season. I love anything Gordon Ramsay, to be honest. And I've just been posting about my garden and showing how to not only grow things, but how to take them and make pretty dishes in the kitchen. And so they reached out and I told them, I'm like, there's no way I can do that show. Like I watch it. It's so hard. I don't want to cry. I don't think I can do it. And essentially they sent over the application. I started it a couple times. It was a year-long process auditioning to get to Los Angeles to actually be on the audition show on TV. So that was quite an experience. But the thing that they really liked about me was that I grow my own food and then I show people what to do with the food once it's grown. And I kind of like to make it look pretty. So I lucked out and got an apron making a cauliflower steak with cauliflower, green beans, and tomatoes that I grew in my Olive Garden.
That sounds delicious.
I
and,
know,
and,
right?
and that's what really attracts me to this whole platform of we're missing the garden to table aspect. My kids grew up with beans coming from Ralph's and Vaughn's, and not actually, it started off in someone's gardens and someone's farm and was massively harvested and then brought to Ralph's to be taken care of us to come and buy. But when I can go out into my front yard and grab some kale and throw it into a pan and throw my eggs in there, it's really nice. And that's why I like the aspect of your teaching, because I'm hoping that we can have many of these conversations where you can help educate America on gardening from garden to table. Have
Exactly.
you
And
found that you can teach that?
Definitely. And I can say that people always say, oh my gosh, your food is so pretty. And I always say it's super simple ingredients. I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy and I'm just literally growing what a lot of people are growing in their backyard. But I also have learned from being on MasterChef and being part of that program how to photograph it and how to plate it, adding the edible flowers and make sure there's lots of color and, layering the food on the plate. So you can just make your just traditional everyday vegetables from the backyard into something really master chef worthy on the plate. It's quite amazing.
And I think that that's important because for those parents who I was at one time, my children are now grown, that it was challenging to get the young ones to eat vegetables, especially with all the fast food commercials that are out there. But to show a vegetable looking pretty is a different aspect that I didn't think of trying. I mean, I'd have to threaten them with something. Hey, if you eat your vegetables, we can go out and get ice cream, which sort of defeats the purpose of having a healthy scenario. But that's nice to find out. You can grow something in your backyard, bring it to table, and dress it up to where it looks very appetizing. Where as my kids would say, "Oh, we're fancy today." That's great. Um,
Definitely. I with growing so much food in the backyard, there's always this abundance. And so I've also branched out and learned how to freeze dry and dehydrate and can and juice all my garden goodies. So I try to really be sustainable and make sure nothing goes to waste. I mean, I'm putting in all the effort to grow all the food. So in the winter months, I'm eating canned food or freezer food even that I grew in the summer. So it's truly a great way to be more sustainable and to save a lot of money. I mean, the
Talk
grocery
about
store
being frugal. Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy right now. A little pack of herbs are like $5. I mean, and you can grow it with one seed for like a penny. I mean, it's incredible. So that inspires me
Yes.
to show people that be more sustainable and save money and of course eat healthy food.
And I think that also with doing that, it's like a full circle because you're not only you're saving, you're eating food that's more healthier for you, and then the aspect that I've grown to learn is because my wife is the gardener and I'm more of the muscle, and so I'm not a young whippersnapper like I used to, but now back in the garden, I can feel like, oh, you know what? I felt this when I was in my 20s and I was trying to do that hook shot that didn't make me go pro. It's really good for the heart and just being out in the sun. So I think all of that is just a full circle of what gardening is.
Yes, I mean, on a personal note, the reason I've been gardening like pretty seriously for the last 8 years, and I was going through a really difficult time in life. Although I love teaching, I was in a very stressful environment for work. I had some issues going in with some family drama. And I thought, I just want to be outside. I want to listen to the birds. I want to see the butterflies. I want to get dirty. And that really healed my life. And when I got into gardening, I decided I don't want to work a toxic job anymore. And I got a new job and I went back to school and got my master's degree so I could move up to college. And gardening, I tell everyone, gardening saved my life. I was very depressed. I was overweight. I was unhealthy. And it literally
That's
has changed my life.
beautiful.
And it's a blessing. And I want to share my love of gardening with everyone. Even if it's just a little bed in your backyard or on your apartment balcony. I mean, anyone can do this. And there's so much information out there that it gets overwhelming. So many techniques, so many ways to do things, and I think it hurts
Uh-huh.
people's brains, but it's really a simple process.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful story. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And so we're hoping to have you on the show as many times as possible so you can share how gardening can save others people's lives. You can visit you on your website at KimberlyTreehouseGardens.com. And again, you're our Oli ambassador, so you can find you all across social media with all different garden tips. And I love the phrase of seize the day.
So many,
How did you come up with that?
Well, I mean, it means so much. Well, okay, so I used to teach a big unit in high school, and I called it the Carpe Diem unit. And it was about, we studied poetry and plays and all this stuff about you're young once, you get one life, you got to seize the day, that famous saying. And then I thought, well, a seed is kind of the same thing, whether you plant a seed of kindness or you actually plant a physical seed to grow something, or you seed a dream to be on MasterChef, my gosh, or you seed
Uh-huh.
becoming an ambassador of a garden bed. So to me, it's just really a positive way to look at life. And my job is to plant as many positive, kind seeds as I can and leave that as my legacy.
That's beautiful. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure talking with you again, Kimberly, and we hope to hear from you soon. You got anything for us today that you can share with us?
Well, I mean, it's February, so this is the time when I'm starting a lot of seeds because growing a big garden, it can be overwhelming and I don't want to go out and buy plants. They're super expensive. So I am planting tomatoes and peppers and eggplant and a lot of herbs right now in the greenhouse. So once the frost is not threatening anymore, I am ready to rock and roll in the garden bed. So they're all quietly sleeping, waiting to be revived in the next couple months.
And you're out in Tennessee, correct?
Correct, in Tennessee. So right now
All
it's
right.
freezing cold, even a little bit of snow. So I mean, I've been a gardener 7 of those years in California, so it's been a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm hoping to take all that knowledge and apply it here in Tennessee. And so far, so good.
All right. Well, we'll check in with you weekly and enjoyed having you on the show. Thank you, Kimberly.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Talk to you.